Greetings, everybody. Welcome once more to the Dracovin Empire. It is I, of course, your host, guide, emperor, Keltis and Dracovin, ready to open up the portal and take us today to Dark Sun. Yes, the sands of Athas once again await us. We are going to be learning about the Champions of Rajaat today. As we have previously discussed them on some of these videos, we'll be diving deep into the group known as the Champions. If you are ready to travel, you merely have to take my hand and I can open that portal, take us to Athas. Take us where we can learn of this place. A little bit of a tip would help, but first, make sure you're subscribed over on the YouTube side of things. Like and ring the bell too. And of course, let me know what you think of the champions in the comments below. There are ones that I have discussed before in videos and others that I have not touched at all. Let's learn about them. The time of the cleansing war. Oh wait! It's not a good time. It's not a good time. Let's get going. To the sands of Athas once more. We have arrived. Now, to learn of the Champions of Rajaat is to dive deep into them, to know of them, and to discuss them. Discuss the group, its origins, and what it did. And, through them, the origins of the Sorcerer Kings and Queens, the Sorcerer Monarchs of Athas. There are two books I would point out, and both of them provide a decent job of this. Of course, the 4th edition campaign guide does an okay job of this. I have complaints and support of 4th edition. It does an okay job. It's not a perfect job. But really, you do need the little bit more of the campaign setting expanded and revised to provide the best picture of this. And there are other little places here and discussions that happen alongside it. But these are the official published things. There are more semi-official things that do exist. We're just not going to get into those today. That's for another person to talk about the semi-official stuff. Who are the Champions of Rajaat? Well, this is one of them. Borys, the dragon. We're going to talk about him more. But he is the culmination of the 15 most powerful students of Rajaat, the Warbringer. Now, I have discussed Rajaat in the past. Hey, you can go check out my video all about him. But basically, these were his warriors, the perpetrators of his war, his cleansing war, his attempted genocide of every other species other than halflings during the Red Age, which made it turn into the cleansing war. Yeah, and the majority of them are now the Sorcerer Kings and Queens that rule over Athas and continue to sink it down into the toilet. Great people Rajaat found. Just great people. And that was on purpose. Yeah. Say hi, Rajaat. I've used this image before. It's him manifesting as a spirit form, battling with this nice lady who imprisoned him again. Anyway, we go back to the Green Age. See my Green Age video. I can say this here. Anyway, we reached the back end of the Green Age in the time of magic, where we have Rajaat, the first sorcerer, basically beginning his downfall. He had developed both the preserving magic and defiling magic, but he was at this time teaching preserving magic. But he was seeking people, power hunger, capable arcane adepts and scientists. He established magical academies. He taught preserving magic to the people. But his plan was basically to undo the rebirth. Between the blue and the Green Age, there was the rebirth, where basically the remaining powerful halflings birthed most of the intelligent species of the day. Not all of them. The Thrakeen were around. There was a couple other. But most of the intelligent species, humanoid or non, were birthed from this. Rajaat saw them all as horrific monstrosities. His hatred, he set it aside for one. Humans. Because he took a look at humans, and he's like, there's this entire thing that you have a potential for great evil and great good, but I'm going to ignore that good thing and look at that potential for great evil. Great. He's like, you guys there, you have this potential for great goods and evils. Cool, awesome. How's your evil? So he basically here's some power. Do you want it? Good. You're with me now. So we reach the year of the priest's completion in the 144th King's Age. Rajaat closes all schools, turns all of his students away, except for 15. These were his great students, And they were also the most evil, power-hungry of all of his 15s. He took them and made them into his champions in a horrific ritual over at the Pristine Tower. The very tower which had been used as a magical artifact to not only basically save the Blue Age, which accidentally then created the Green Age. So yeah. So connected to the sun, which they used before, which changed it from blue to yellow, he's like, well, I'm going to channel the sun through my people, my champions, through this thing called the Dark Lens, and make you kind of immortal super beings. Masters of psionics and defiling magic. You already great at it. Now your true magic power is there, and you're immortal. Kind of like I am. Congratulations. And then the sun turned red. Red Age was born out of this. The yellow sun turned crimson because he did this, because he made 15 immortals. So now he's like, well, now that I've got you all immortal, I kind of want you to murder out everyone else. See all those elves over there? I want all of them dead. See all those gnomes over there? Want all of them dead. See all those lizard folk over there? All of them dead. I want to bring back the Blue Age. Destroy everything from the rebirth. It was a mistake. So these semi-gods now birthed with the power of the dark sun behind them, set out, and the cleansing war began. They did a pretty good job. This was also like the end of the planet. It's why Athas is the way it is. They basically went on, we're gonna murder everybody, genocidal war on all the other species save for humans and halflings. Which, didn't go well for the planet. Anyway, they did succeed in many places. There are a lot of species which are gone from the face of Athas. But when we reach the 164th King Age, in the year of the Desert's Vengeance, they learn the truth. They learn that Rajaat basically had promised them and their human kin would rule Athas post this war, but then they learned Rajaat really wanted the halflings back and wanted them to give them a new Blue Age, because the halflings were the species of the Blue Age. He's like, wait a second. So, for the most part, the champions rebelled against him, brought him down. They couldn't kill him. He was the first sorcerer and an immensely powerful being. So, basically, the sixth champion, Galllard, devised a plan to split his essence into two, his physical and spiritual. They used the Dark Lens and made two prisons, two halves. His sorcerer essence, his spirit, was sealed in the deepest regions of the Black, which was dubbed the Hollow. Again, a little bit of a summary. The Black being basically the kind of Shadowfell, ethereal plane. One of the two planes that directly touch Athas. The other being the Gray. I think it's more their version of a Shadowfell. Anyway, and the physical remains were encased in a tomb and of Darkstoom in the Black Sphere. So, those prisons wouldn't last forever, so they decided to basically elevate themselves further. And Borys, remember Borys? I showed him at the beginning of the big old dragon form. 13th channel, leader of the rebellion, used the Dark Lens and basically begun transforming all of them into powerful dragons. The ultimate, most powerful life form known to them and their master. Basically, Borys was the jailer, so he had accelerated transformation even farther and became the Dragon of Tyr. And the other champions basically became the Sorcerer Monarchs to continue their slow process of themselves becoming dragons. So Borys got to cheat his way all the way up there because he's in charge of making sure Rajaat doesn't escape, and the rest slowly making their way there. For the most part. Alright, now we got the backstory. Let's talk about the different champions, who they are, who they're now known as, are they still around, what's happened to all of them. There are 15 of them that are known. Let's start out with the first two. Now I have this good picture of Kalak, but we have to first start with Sacha. Sacha of Aria. Now, Aria is a place I don't really have a lot of information about, but Sacha was one of the 13th champions, the Curse of Kobolds. Basically led the death of kobolds in King's Slumber, the 147th King's Age. So pretty close to the end, of the time, pretty close to the beginning. Kobolds died off pretty quickly, since 164th is their, doom there. So the thing about Sacha is she sided with Rajaat in the rebellion. She's one of two of the champions that stayed loyal. So after Rajaat was imprisoned and Borys transformed to a vampire, Her reward was decapitation. It didn't kill her. So I'll talk about the other champion when I get to them, but both of them now are basically heads. Their bodies are destroyed, their heads live on, and Kalak kept them. Good old Kalak, which we're going to talk about in a second. It's appropriate I'm talking about the two of them together. So, yeah. Basically, Kalak hadn't undergone the process to become a champion, and so convinced Sacha and Wyan to help him in a lot of ways. Kalak is unique in a lot of these ways. So, yeah. He didn't have some of the same powers as others in a lot of ways. So just keep that in mind that he basically is the severed head of two other dragons that teach him dragon magic. He wasn't as far along as the others and was cheating with them. Though then, Sacha and the other power, Wyan, when I get to him, technically are the voices in the ear of Tithian, Kalak's successor in tier. Kalak. Good old Kalak. Ogre dude. In the 164th King's Age, that's when he defeated all the ogres. They're gone. He was the king of Tyr. Basically continued there to the 190th age, where he was defeated in the liberation of Tyr. And that's in between 2nd edition and 4th edition. 4th edition takes place after Kalak's fall. Though, whether Kalak is actually dead or not is kind of like a thing that's kind of left open more in 2nd edition. They say it's more done in 4th edition, but again, like some of his essence could remain because being semi-immortal, powerful beings, they're really hard to kill off. So Kalak and some of his powers may remain sealed inside his great ziggurat, which he was attempting to use to basically sacrifice all of Tyr to ascend to dragonhood quicker. He was trying to cheat the system. Good old Kalak. Gotta love him that way. Dregoth. And we'll also talk about Myron here, briefly. Dregoth, Ravager of Giants. He didn't succeed. This is our first of our champions that didn't succeed. Giants still live. So, Dregoth became the Sorcerer King of Gustenal. I haven't talked about Gustenal. I'll just note that now. That's one I'm going to have to talk about in the future. But yes. He's dead, but also not? Yeah. Basically, he was the king of Gustenal, the Dread King. He's now undead. The only thing that can really kill Sorcerer Kings is other Sorcerer Kings. That's kind of one of those things. And even then, it's rarely been very successful. So in New Gustenal, which is the undead city under Old Gustenal, he's the undead king of there. So he's currently both Dragon and Kashigara. He's still alive. Sort of. Yeah. The other champions basically murdered him after he became very close to becoming a true dragon. Ahead of them. Yeah! Borys gets it, but only I get it after Borys. Infighting is what's really leading to a lot of their downfall. So, yeah. So now he's an undead dragon that rules over that city. Myron, on the other hand, which we don't have an image of here, the Scourge of Trolls, failed and was killed and replaced. So Myron failed Rajaat. But Manu of Jetshe, Scourge of Trolls, killed them in 164th year. Last time a troll existed. Again, being the year they learned of, or the age they learned of Rajaat's betrayal. But basically, Manu replaced Myron. And eventually took the name Hamanu and became the ruler of Urk, the Lion of the Desert. Yes. Hamaru did finish off the trolls, what used to be known as Manu, and basically replaced his successor in doing a good job when they were failing. Sucks to be you, but when you fail, you go away. All right. Let's continue on with. Sorry. I did forget to switch over to Manu over here, aka Hamanu. Hi, Hamanu. Uyness of Waverley. Orc Plague. Finished them off in 156 King Age. Now, rules over Ram as the Grand Vizier under the name Albakre, Sorcerer Queen of Ram, technically, though again, pretends to be the Vizier to the throne and kind of is like really the person in charge, but manipulates, basically is doing the, I'm not really in charge, they're in charge, I've put them in charge, I'm just, puppeting them in front of you, don't worry about it, don't worry about the puppeting, don't worry about the puppeting, nope, no puppeting happening here. Also, she spearheaded the attack on Dregoth and the destruction of Gustav. So she's a little bit to blame there for that. Greetings, Nibene. Or as it used to be called, Galllard, Bane of Gnomes. Yeah, all the gnomes are dead. Sorry, gnomes. Well, not completely true. They are technically dead. They're undead. So there are still gnomes left in Dark Sun. They're just undead. Probably, like, if you're going to play 5th edition Dark Sun, probably play with, like, undead gnomes. Skelly gnome. Can't be a living one. They're all dead. But yes. Now rules Nibene under the name of Nibene as its Shadow King. Kind of in the background. Paranoid. Go see my Nibene video about all that. Yeah. Hi. Sielba. So Sielba here. Destroyer of Terrans. Didn't succeed. Became the Sorcerer Queen of Yarramuket. And both her and her city were destroyed by Manu. Again, it's one of those things, is she really gone or not? This is one that's a little bit more towards probably yes. There was a giant ritual Manu used to destroy the entire city. Probably took her out. Her land defiled. But again, like, it's the only thing that takes out a Sorcerer King or Queen is another one. So she's one of those ones that you point at her like, she's probably dead. Completely. Good old Albeorn, Slayer of Elves, also unsuccessful, now known as Andropenius, Pinius, basically the eternal dictator of Bollock. So again, see my Bollock video for a little bit more on him, but now we got an idea about him. Tectuktitlay, the Wemmican Island. Killed the last one in 162. Basically, Throne of Draj. And it's the self-god king of Draj. Again, go check out my Draj video to learn about them. The almighty, omnipotent Tectuktitlay, father of life and master of the two moons. That's a name. It is a hell of a name. I'm trying my best with that one there. I really am. Keltis. Keltis, the lizard man executioner, who failed, though believed to be successful, because there are some lizard folk that survive in the last sea. Now known as Uyness, as the benevolent ruler of Kern. Uyness is no longer on the path of dragon, but becoming Avnaginon, basically the opposite of a dragon of Dark Sun. Like, as dragons of Dark Sun are culminations of powerful evil magic and stuff like that. Avinon are powerful good and defiling magic. They are purifier magic. And of course, Kern and New Kern are under Uyness, the technical betrayer of the champions, who's secretly pretending not to be. Uyness there. Lalali-Puy, the Aarakocra Scourge, who failed also. Seems a lot of the ones that are still alive did fail, too. Interesting enough. Basically, the Oba of Golg. If you're going to see my Golg video to learn a little bit about her, you can. The Sorcerer Queen of there. The Forest Goddess of the Oba. Now, I'm showing Borys here, but before we talk to Borys, we have to talk about the other one who stood with Rajaat, Wyan of Borys, the Pixie Blight, who killed all the pixies in 155. You know how he killed all the pixies? He killed all the trees. Pixies love trees. Well, let's just destroy every last tree. Great idea! It won't come to bite us in the backs and turn our entire plane into a desert. I blame Wyan for a lot of this here. Anyway, he stood by Rajaat in the revolt, also became a head, and also hung out with Kalak and helped him out in a lot of ways. So yeah, and then now Wyan and Sacha are now the first and, of course, 12th champions, looking after good old Tithian. Again, I've been going in order of also champion number. They are numbered 1 to 15. But Borys of Ebe, we have to talk about him here. Butcher of Dwarfs, again, unsuccessful. Pixies was successful, but Rajaat wasn't. I mean, Borys wasn't. He was the leader of the rebellion, became the Dragon of Tyr, rules Draxa, watches over as the guardian of it. I'll probably do a video on Borys on his own, because it deserves it, but you can always learn a little bit about it by checking out my Draxa video. I do suggest a lot of my videos for these, because I've talked about a bunch of these people before. We're going over some, like, champion versions of them. And there are other names. Greetings, Daskinor. So, Daskinor, Goblin Death. Finished his job in 155. Became the reclusive Sorcerer King of Eldritch. He is, again, one of the ones that was successful. Joined with the rebellion. Rules over Eldritch on an island in the Sea of Silt. Is incredibly paranoid. Keeps him away from a lot of the others. And, of course, the last of them, the 15th champion, Khalid Ma. Unsuccessful for killing off the Tari. Basically took the mantle of Sorcerer King of Kildane, but her and her city were lost in some kind of calamity. Ruins are on Athas, but you can actually go see, I did a Dark Sun video on her basically champion, who now is a Dark Lord, looking over his corpse in Ravenloft. Again, that's the entire thing. Ravenloft has some, like, gender issues, but in Dark Sun, it's a she, Sorcerer Queen. So keep that in mind. I talked about the gender differences there that exist between Dark Sun and Ravenloft. But Khalid Ma, there you go. Ruled over her thing. Thakak An, basically the master, has become a Dark Lord in Ravenloft. And Khalid Ma, at least a portion of her, is sealed there. I kind of talked about it, that she was in the middle of transforming into a dragon. So there's a dragon that doesn't have a mind. And there's also maybe part of her spirit that's there, and there's these artifacts that control part of her spirit now. So, yeah. It's basically, she was, like, split in 3. Mind, soul, body, probably. So mind's in some little rocks that were part of her transformation. Body's a giant death dragon that no one really deals with because, you know, you can kind of keep it in check but can't destroy it. Because it's a dragon. A Dark Sun dragon. And then, like, her spiritual essence is trapped in Dark Sun. You know, Demi-Plane of Drain. That's kind of the way I look at it. But again, go see my video on the Dark Sun version of things. And Kildane and stuff like that, where you can kind of dive deep into these ideas I have. But there's the Champions of Rajaat. Again, I've talked a lot of these people already. I'm sure you've seen a bunch of my videos if you're watching a lot of my Dark Sun videos on a bunch of the city-states and stuff where I've mentioned a lot of these individuals. And most of these people, I probably won't do individual videos on. There will be some I will visit of this list again and dive into deep depth about their backstory, history, what happened to them, and what happened as they became Sorcerer Kings and Queens. But it's a kind of concept to kind of look at them from this time period. If we are going to be talking about, since I've been doing more history of the Dark Sun world of Athas, if I'm going to talk about the Red Age, Cleansing War, you have to establish the champions. And that was today. Establishing the champions. Showing them off. Teaching you about them. So you may know where to turn to next. Where to go, what to learn. And the people who succumbed to temptation and were evil enough, horrible enough, to follow Rajaat and spell the doom of Athas. Athas is a horrible, destroyed desert, bleak planet of death, and it's these 15 that are at fault for it. And Rajaat too, but you know, Rajaat couldn't have done it alone. Anyway, that'll be it for today. Please check out the rest of my stuff, whether on YouTube or Twitch. Both are great. If you're on YouTube, hey, are you subscribed? If not, now, I said earlier, let me know in the comments what you think of the champions. If any of them that you feel like, you know, does people like our good friend Uyness / Keltis deserve his basically coming back and trying to do good? Are the ones that are dead really dead? You know, what does it say that most of the ones that survived were the unsuccessful ones? A few of them were successful that survived, but a lot of them were not. A bunch of those very successful ones ended up, you know, in interesting places. Just saying. Most of them tend to be very unsuccessful anyway. Check out my Twitch side of stuff. That's for gaming, chatting, recording these videos, a lot of other stuff. Live plays. I have Fall of Abenswell Wednesdays at 8. But I also put all the live plays up and archived on YouTube. So you can go check those out. Fall of Abenswell older ones. Discuss Tabletop Saturdays at 6. My talk show, discussion, kind of podcasty thing. Also up on YouTube. Check out my social media link below. Discord, the best of them. And anyway, until the next time, we dive into Dark Sun or another realm. I bid all of you out there a deep and wonderful farewell.